there is something called the Dunning-Krueger effect, which essentially means that a lot of people who know very little, believe that they know a lot. And they don't know enough to know that they know nothing. And I think that is where some of the people who are in this thing fall. They think they know, but they actually know absolutely nothing.
One love, one heart. Blessed love, viewers and subscribers. You know it's all about sports chat and all that. I know it's about that time of the year, track and field. Y'all know basketball over, you feel me? NHL over, you feel me? So you know it's all about what I said, track and field, you feel me? The Olympics is around the corner, that's all I'm saying. Word is born. You also have Copa America going on. That's called soccer, one of the world leading sports, you feel me? And I'm just saying though, Leon Bailey, yo, me lose off of you. Red flag. Don't forget, the fans make you. You don't make the fans. You need the fans. The fans, they are the one that, I'm not going to say put you where you are, but you need the fans, you feel me? So that was also a red flag for you not representing Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, always country first, without a doubt. We are going to chat on. Viewers and subscribers. Y'all know Steve Francis, one of Jamaica top, the most leading, you know what I'm saying, top sprinting coach, you know what I'm saying, of the track and field. It seems like, you know what I'm saying, there's a controversy going on between him and one of his athletic coach. His name is, David Riley. And I would like you to all hear, you know what I'm saying, what he have to say and what the controversy is all about between Stephen Francis and David Riley. And, you know, this is what he had to say, though.
When you heard the criticism from Stephen Francis, did it surprise you?
It surprised me. It surprised me because I have no runnings with Stephen Francis. I mean, maybe because I have not accepted any offers to coach at Wolmer's anymore. I don't know if it's coming from that. I don't know where it's coming from. But I was a bit surprised by that. And I find it a little disingenuous in that you have athletes that you need to provide to the national program, and you clearly have an issue with your own knowledge about injury prevention, because most of your athletes are injured and banged up. I mean, why are athletes so injured? You need to understand the proper loading, and there's stuff that you need to understand. You're there talking about what people don't understand, don't know, you clearly have gaps in your own knowledge. Mm-hmm. You clearly don't know how to double peak either, because you have an issue with the world relays. Bring that up with the world athletics. Tell them why they're having this stupid meet in the middle of May. The meet is there. Mm-hmm. You can learn how to double peak your athletes for May, and then you bring them back for whatever meet later on in the season. That is the job of a coach.
Mm. David, globally, Stephen Francis has been labeled the world's best sprinting coach. Now, you have said a few things in the past minute that appear to challenge that.
I am not challenging his record. I'm challenging the fact that he continues to parade himself as knowing all things. And that is not so. That is not so. He is clearly lacking. When you have so many athletes injured, and injured, seriously injured, season over season, there is a problem. There is a problem.
I don't want to get into that, David, but here's what I want to look at. I want to look at the policy that guided the selection of the World Relays team, and specifically the first, I guess, rule as part of that policy. And I think we have that graphic. So if I could get that graphic, please, because I think that is so important to guide the remainder of this conversation. So the selection criteria for the World Relays, the JAAA selection criteria for the World Relays. And here it is. So athletes must have registered a performance in a competition since January 1, 2024, while personal bests may be considered. Athletes with better season's bests will get greater consideration for selection. No.
That's fair.
You're saying it's fair?
That's fair because...
So let me ask you, David. If Shelley and Fraser Price, Elaine Thompson-Hera, Sharika Jackson, Oblique Seville decided they wanted to open their seasons at the World Relays, which means they would not have a time in the build-up to that. This rule is suggesting there's no guarantee that the selection committee would have them as part of their team.
Well, it said maybe given greater consideration. That's what it said.
But it says you must register a time. That's the part of the rule that says you must register a time.
Maybe you can bring up the last paragraph of that very same document, because it actually does explain another part of the whole process. You see,
which says?
The thing is, Ricardo, athletes train.
Yes.
Athletes have breakout seasons.
Yes.
You can have an athlete that's emerging this season, and their training is so organized, and they're making progress. But that athlete would be the one that is showing greater form.
But hold on, David. But why isn't the breakout athlete selected as a complement to your proven athletes?
But track and field is not about your resume. Track and field is about what you can do today. What you can do today. You can't go to the start line and say, I'm the Olympic champion, so I'm going to just give me the medal right now. You can't do that.
Isn't that potentially problematic, though, for athletes who are established? And maybe this is what Stephen Francis is getting at, because established athletes don't need to come out in January and February and March or even April, because they have their schedule set. They don't need to necessarily run fast in those months because they already have their meets booked.
Right, but that's hypothetical. In this case, before you got to that selection committee, athletes were asked, coaches were asked, are you available?
Yes.
So you're assuming that those athletes had indicated that they were available, and they did not indicate that they were available.
And by the way, I was just using those athletes as examples.
So
I'm not
none of
suggesting...
those athletes, except for maybe Sharika Jackson, was available.
So you are saying, despite the fact that the rule says that you must have a time in the year that the team is being selected for, there would be great consideration, or if your senior super athletes wanted to open at the World Relays, that they would be selected.
Right. The thing is, that document that you just showed is an internal document. That wasn't circulated. So FRANA would not have had any access to that information. That is internal, that was guiding the selection committee. So it's not as though persons would say, well, I didn't have any time this season, so I'm disqualified. That was not something that was out there in the public domain for them to then be...
But David, isn't that a problem? Why isn't the policy out there in the public domain for all the athletes and the coaches to have access to it?
Because, in fact, they were asked if they were available. Indicate whether you want to go to the World Relays. And if you heard some of the responses, persons were not available. They were not interested in the World Relays. They're not interested in relays any at all. So we're starting from a position where most of the athletes are just not interested and not available to run at the World Relays.
But that shouldn't stop the association, though, David, from making policies like this public so everybody knows what needs to be done.
I take your point, but that's, of course, above my pay grade.
Viewer Steve Francis, one of Jamaica's #1 sprinting head coach, the greatest of all time. When I say the greatest of all time, you look at his track record, player that came out of his camp. You're talking about Asafa Powell, Elaine Thompson, Shelley and Fraser Price. You know what I'm saying? And now you have Sharika Jackson, you feel me? And I could go on and on like Jackass Khan. Viewers, drop one comment. Stephen Francis talk about David Riley. Listen, sports chat and all that. Bless without stress.
Mr. Riley did show some shade as well on your ability to manage injuries. and question your coaching capabilities. Talk to us about just your systems and how it works, etc.
Mr. Riley clearly has a spy, in MVP, who tells him on a daily basis who is injured and who is not. But what he does know, or based on what you said, 50 medals, they clearly turn up when they're supposed to, right? And they have countless national records and national championships and so on. Not bad for such injured people, right? Mr. Riley is out of his depth. He doesn't understand that it's not wise for him to try to respond the way he did. All he has to do is just try and do better. Step aside, let somebody else who knows what they're doing take it over. Sit as an apprentice, learn certain things, learn the customs and the way people deal with seniors. Right? Stop standing in the way and creating problems. Right? Stop moving up the schedule for the national championships. So nobody can every year, for example, any coach in the USA can say, okay, there will be the 100 on the first day, this is going to happen on the second day, this is going to happen on the third day. Every year these people change up with their stuff, right? And it was stable for years. Stable for years until Mr. Gale became president and appointed, right, to whatever position he is not now. Right, so I would suggest that him just leave it alone. He is doing a good job with the juniors. But, I mean, even though he seems to be way brighter than me, having a level 5 and having 2 engineering degrees and whatever it is, he just cannot handle seniors. And if he's going to claim Ramon Bailey went to TCU for 4 years. Right? He coached Ramon Bailey at Wolmer's. But then he left and went to TCU. So I can't understand how he developed Ramon Bailey. And Ramon Bailey coached with him the next year after he left TCU and qualified to make the Olympic team. But he's there comparing himself to Tajay Gale, who has won 2 medals at the highest level, 1 gold and 1 bronze, and made almost every final except one that he has competed in. So. Yeah, but I'm just hoping that he will probably just chill and leave it alone, right? Enjoy yourself with the junior athletes. They're very malleable and will do whatever you say.
So viewers, what do you all think? Who is right and who is wrong? Who have the better point on the conversation?
But I think the difference between Asafa and Kishian is that now, 15 years later, in spite of what Mr. Riley thinks, we have a far more sophisticated and analytic setup, so which would allow him, I think, to be better for his talent than Asafa was.
You've opened the door, so I'll walk through it. Of course, saw an interview with yourself talking about just the problems that the J3s continue to put up. And that led to the world relays and the team not getting there. You're quite scathing in your comments that the J3s need to move away. People in junior athletics, including Riley, is singled out, and Keith Wellington. And of course, Mr. Riley has it back, pretty much calling you an ass, and that you pretty much need to learn to coach. How do you respond?
Well, I'm not going to get into a cussing match with Riley. Except to say that I don't know how long I spoke for, but I don't believe ever saying anything about Riley's coaching ability. It is there for all to see. He won champs with Wolmer's and he has done well this year with Excelsior and whatever. So, I mean, I don't know why he's so sensitive. I commented on his ability to lead the technical committee of the J3s when it comes to senior athletics. And from what I've been told, because I didn't really see it, that he did not address that issue, except to say that my brother is on the selection committee, but Mr. Riley being a Wolmer's boy, should understand there's a difference between the technical committee and the selection committee. And my brother is not a part of the selection committee. And the selection committee only does its job within the guidelines of policies set by the JAAs, of which Mr. Riley appears to be a very senior member, because he is one of the persons who put in the offending rule for the world relays. And that's here, furthermore, that he compounds the whole thing by continuing to justify the fact that he is the only person in the world who seems to think that he is able to judge the shape or whatever of the senior athletes by seeing how fast they have run. So he compiles a team in April of 46 people to go run the 4x4. Most of them have never gone any faster than that. So that's their limit. And he has a lot of people sitting down there who have run 44s and 45s, and he chose not to pick them because they had not run fast so far in April. No, he has not addressed that, why it is that he feels that he is the person who is to tell the world that, oh, you have been doing it wrong. Listen to me. I have 2 engineering degrees and I have coaching at level 5, and therefore I must be innovative. No. We have a tried and proven way of dealing with those athletes. Jamaica.
So viewers, I guess from what I get from the conversation is that Mr. Francis saying that Riley need to stay in his lane. You know what I'm saying? Just do what he do best. Just do what he do best. You feel me? I don't know. That's what I get from the whole, you know what I'm saying, conversation. But I'm going to let you all hear the rest of what he had to say, though.
In the form of the JAAs, does not have to do anything in the senior athletics. Mr. Mills and Mr. Francis and Mr. Wilson and Mr. Stewart, O'Keefe Stewart, and Mr. Walcott up at JC and whoever else, they do all the work. They do all the work. They fund the athletes, or they arrange funding. They produce the athletes who are capable of winning medals, and the coaches overseas. All the JAAs has to do is to stay out of the way. Do not put obstacles to make it more difficult. So far, as I said before, nobody pays these athletes. The government or the JAAs don't pay these athletes. Right? When all the others, most of their competitors, are funded by their federations or their governments. So therefore, do not make it harder. It is hard enough for you for us to prepare these athletes at this level without having to also fight the policies of Mr. Riley and the JAAs.
Sports chat and all that. Leave a comment.